back again for the final part of my Gaming with Class Games of the Decade list. That last time was a moment of celebration, talking about the best of the best, the things that make you love gaming. Today, however, it's time to talk about the things that make you despise gaming, that make you just wonder, man, I think I should stop playing games. I should start smoking crack. But today we are going to talk about the worst of the worst. And these for me personally were, of the past 10 years, the games that left a pretty bad impression on me. So we've got a lot to discuss, and I'm probably going to get very heated. But yeah, without further ado, here is my Gaming with Class top 10 worst games of the decade definitive list. So like last time, I have some honorable mentions, but this, however, is going to be very different as I only have one thing to mention. The Mega Man Legends 3 controversy. If you don't know about this, it's been something that I've mentioned over and over and over again on my channel, like almost to a point of like nauseum. But if you don't know what it is, in 2011, Mega Man Legends 3, a game that I was highly anticipating, a game that I was so excited for, got canceled. And the brutal betrayal of Capcom that lasted for a long time. I didn't buy Capcom games for a while. After that event, my feelings on Capcom went sour. I was done. And it was that they came out, okay, Mega Man Legends 3 canceled. Oh, that sucks. I hate when games get canceled. And I was sad about that. Then they had to come out 2 days later and someone said, oh, well, you know, the reason why the game got canceled, you know, it's because, you know, the fans didn't work hard enough. You know, they didn't put in enough stuff for us, so we canceled the game. Yeah, well, blame the fans. Yeah, two guys. Yeah, two. That's pretty much exactly what it was. They said, because Mega Man Legends 3 had this thing of, oh, you want to add support to the game, you can come up with concept art, enemy design, different things. It was just like a little thing to have like fan interaction. And they pretty much said, oh, well, you know, fans didn't output enough, so cancel the game. And that right there, I was like, no, like that's some bullshit right there. That is just wrong. And it's like, just don't blame the fans. Just come out and say what happened. And then also, and this is what really got me, is the same day they said, like, the blame the fan thing came out, they announced Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Now keep in mind, Marvel vs. Capcom 3 came out in February that year. This is July, and now Ultimate Marvel 3 is coming out. It's like, well, remember that version you bought a few months ago? Oh yeah, that version's pointless. You know, you gotta buy the game again. You know what? We're gonna have some more characters. Oh yeah, you can't upgrade. You gotta buy the game again. And I was like, no, I'm done. And that's exactly what happened. I was done with Capcom for a while. And that's really when the downfall of Capcom really started for a long time. Now, the one positive thing I can say, at least coming out of this segment, is that Capcom is coming back. They're finally kind of getting back to like their sense. They're releasing good games again. They haven't had a thing like that again, thankfully, because that really just like, ooh, I was mad. I still get heated every time I talk about that, because it's just so ridiculous that like they canceled the game, blamed the fans for it, and then had the gall to announce a game that I bought again on the same day, even though I know it's two different teams. But yeah, it stinks. The only thing I have to hope now, because I hope the Legend series doesn't just stay in the shadows. It's a great Mega Man series that everybody needs to play. But that they said if Mega Man 11 sold well, they could think about doing a Mega Man X game again. And they did bring up Legends. So my fingers are crossed for Mega Man Legends 3 on Switch. Like, I want to see this game come to fruition. Like, it has too much bad blood on it now. So with that out of the way, it is now time to begin the top 10 worst games of the decade. Number 10, Ride to Hell, Retribution. Now, this game, I'm sure to a lot of people who played a lot of like bad games throughout the decade, or even heard about this game, you knew this was probably going to be on this list. You probably didn't expect it was going to be this high. And honestly, it's because this game is very interesting. It is a broken game in a lot of ways. It is bad. Like, texture issues with the game. Graphically, it looks bad. The acting, everything, the gameplay is just so broken and just off. But I, for some reason, really like this game. This game is not good, but I somehow really appreciate it. Like there's so many just goofy things with it, and every time I bring it up, I'm like, man, that game sucks, but I somehow enjoy myself with it. Like, it's so bad, it ends up being kind of good. Now, that only applies if you're watching the game, I will say, because playing it is a whole different story. To me, and I always do it, is the first 40 minutes of Ride to Hell is a very enjoyable watch. You get a group of people together and you watch it. It's a very, very fun thing. Now, anything longer than that, now it is fun and very funny, but oh, it starts getting bad. Like, that game starts getting rough near the end. But honestly, and I know it's gonna sound crazy to some people, but I actually kind of like that game. Like, it kind of goes around being good, and who knows, maybe the original idea would have been good, because it actually was supposed to be a more fleshed out open world biking game, which could have been cool, but something changed in development, and it went down south super hard. But yeah, Ride to Hell, a bad game, but a very memorable one that I remember very, very fond of throughout the 2010s. Number 9, Alien Colonial Marines. Now, this is where the list truly begins, because this is so disappointing, and I was so disappointed in this because I was like, ooh, I like Alien. That's a great movie. It's a cool series. Like, I'm down to play an Aliens game. And then the game comes out, and I was like, wait, this kind of stinks. Like, what happened? And it's that they shouldn't have showed that E3 demo. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, when the game first got premiered at E3, they showed this trailer. It was like super graphically detailed. It had great lighting. The graphics looked great on it, and it had all this like crazy scripted stuff that looked cool. And then the game comes out, and none of that's there. It was just straight up like, hey, we can't do it on consoles. And that's what happened. The game came out, and it just didn't hold up to par of what they showed. And even in the end, I was just like, man, it's kind of just generic. It's not really doing anything interesting. Like, I wanted something like better. That's why it's kind of like, man, no, I wish you guys had like really went in. Like, maybe the original version, the E3, would have been cool, but even after that, I was just like, this isn't really what I want. Thankfully, Alien Isolation came out, because that game was awesome. That's exactly what I wanted from an Alien game, and I'm happy at least that got to redeem it in some way. But when this came out, I was just like, oh, yeah, this is gonna be a pass for me. I rented it, and I didn't even finish it. I was just like, this isn't worth my time, like, at all. Number 8, Mario Party 9 and 10. Yeah, I'm going back to my old ways of putting 2 games in a single list. But with this one, it actually does make more sense logistically, because Mario Party 9 and 10 are both not very good games, and they each have the exact same problem. Now, I've played every single Mario Party game in the series. I started with Mario Party 2 and played every single one as it came out. So to me, when I heard that Mario Party 9 was going to change up how the entire series has worked before and introduce this weird, everybody's on the same kind of car and you all go the same way, and oh, you may play a mini game, but you may not. And it's like, no, that's not Mario Party. And Mario Party 10 did the exact same thing. It was everybody is in a cart and you all move at the exact same place, and you don't get as many mini games. And Mario Party 10 at least fixed something that 9 had. 9, you could pick the mini game. That fundamentally broke what made Mario Party Mario Party. Like, don't give people choices. Like, now, of course they do have choices, because we have like special mini games, you are able to choose which one. But for main games, I want the game to pick, because there's that fun, just like, ooh, we could get a good one, we could get a really bad one. Whereas if I could pick, it's just like, oh, well, who has a bad one there? Well, I guess I'm not gonna play it. It ruins the whole dynamic, and 9 and 10 both did that. And I was just like, this is so disappointing. and I just wanted it kind of back to what made Mario Party Mario Party. And thankfully that did come with Super Mario Party on the Switch, where it brought back the old board style, it brought back the mini games every turn, and it was exactly what I wanted from it, and I actually really enjoyed that one. But yeah, Mario Party 9 and 10 were just so disappointing. Just it changed everything for no reason, and really it was disappointing. That's all I can really say. There's not much left to say on those two games. Number 7, Fallout 76. I'm not a fan of Fallout 76, and I know to the internet it's like, because everybody else is really not liking it. But when it was first announced, even then, I had a lot of just hesitation on it. I felt this isn't really what I want from a Fallout game. And to me, a Fallout game, it's the isolation you get from exploring the wasteland and kind of going on your own little quest and forging your own experiences in different ways. And I love that single player aspect. It's what made me love Fallout 3. When I went back and played Fallout 1 and 2, it's the same thing. But Fallout 76 kind of gets away with that when you have multiplayer where you're playing with 4 of your friends, and it really just changed what made Fallout. Like, having a Fallout game with no NPCs is so ludicrous. Like, how are you gonna have that game like that? Like, what makes Fallout is the conversations and how your character is able to change throughout the game, and it's so confusing. I don't know what Fallout 76, who it is for. Is it for Fallout fans? Is it for fans of multiplayer games? Like, I don't know. And I'm sure they don't even know. Like, when one of the big draws of Fallout 76 is you get to nuke other players' spots and locations, like they made a big deal about that in older Fallout games. Like did you guys play those games? Like, what happened? And there's all these baffling choices. Like, I'm not even gotten into the crazy stuff with how Bethesda was acting with this game, where it's like, did this player go out of bounds and get into a dev room? Oh, we're gonna ban him. Oh, we're gonna make him write an essay so he can explain why he did was wrong. Like what are they, preschool teachers? Like, what is this garbage? Like, what is going on with Bethesda right now? Like, Fallout 76 is such a waste of time. I don't know what they were thinking with this one. Like, it's so baffling. Like, I'm not surprised that it went down the way it did. Like, going into it, I just had a feeling it's not gonna work as well as they thought, because I know Bethesda games, they are very buggy. Like, I never really got a chance to play all of Skyrim because on PS3 my save file hit a certain amount of memory and it just would crash every 5 minutes no matter what I did, whatever location. I couldn't play all of Skyrim because of that. And I've had so many crazy glitches happen in Bethesda games that I just knew, okay, your game's kind of run bad on single player. What is multiplayer gonna add to that? And it just broke so much. It's such a disappointing game, but I can't even say disappointing because I didn't have a point to really go towards even when it was announced, when it was multiplayer Fallout game. Okay, I guess. And I kind of stayed with that, like, throughout. I think I left with hopeful. I was like, maybe it's good, maybe it'll be all right. But even then, I still had doubts, and my doubts ended up coming true. It was exactly how I was picturing it. Just a weird concept put on a game that doesn't deserve it. And it's sad that this now is tainted the Fallout series, because it's such a fantastic series. But now I feel every time Fallout's gonna get mentioned, it's gonna be because of 76. And that's a shame. Number 6, Resident Evil 6. Yeah, this I knew going in. This is gonna be in this list somewhere. This was, to me, the Resident Evil game that changed everything. Not 4. I love Resident Evil 4. 4, I know a lot of people now have some people have gone on a thing of like, oh, Resident Evil 4, it's not that good. It's too action oriented. It doesn't have, 4 is a good game. I felt 4 was the perfect balance of old school Resident Evil and kind of the new school that was about to start. And it was a perfect blend. 5 had a little bit of the old Resident Evil flair, but it was still very much into the new ground of things. But when we came to Resident Evil 6, oh, it wasn't a horror game or survival horror, any of that anymore. It was a full-on action game. And that game is so ridiculous that I can't take it seriously in any light. It's such a waste of time. Like, there are things in Resident Evil 5 where I look back and I'm like, okay, that was stupid. Like, the moment for me, when Chris punches that boulder, every time, even back at the time when I played the game, I was like, that's stupid. Chris has had to, like, do certain things with Sheva's help to push things, but he can just now punch a boulder out of nowhere. Like, it was just so dumb. And I know you're probably saying, well, don't try to put realism in a game with zombies, but it's like they set up certain things with that character, and it's just like, oh, now you can just do this. Say, okay. But with 6, when it hit that full action oriented, it lost me. Like Leon's campaign, they say, oh, it's more for old Resident Evil fans. It's like, no, it's still action oriented. You still have Leon running from an explosion, which is so ridiculous. And you got Chris's campaign, which is just Gears of War. And it's that third campaign. I didn't even get to that one. I played all of Leon's. I played half of Chris's. And maybe I played like one mission from the third one, and then I gave up. I was just like, this isn't for me. I don't want to force myself to play through this game, and I didn't. Like, maybe at some point I'll go back and maybe finish the entire game and see for myself, maybe the ending and other things. But I felt it wasn't really what I wanted from Resident Evil. It didn't give me like that same feel as like the old ones and 4. And I know. And it's not like, oh, well, you look, you can't evolve with the times of games changing. It's like, I can. There's a lot of games that have changed, like styles, or it's changed in a lot of different ways from earlier titles in the series, but it has to be good and kind of keep me interested. I just felt like Resident Evil 6 just felt generic. Like, it didn't have the same flair that the other games in the series had. Like, nothing from 6 is like, oh, memorable, where I'm like, oh yeah, remember that moment? Like Resident Evil 4, you can think of like 20 moments that are like memorable and they stick with you. Like, think of one moment from Resident Evil 6 that you can look back on and be like, remember that moment? And it's usually, if you do remember, it's something like, oh yeah, I remember when Leon was running from explosions and jumping over cars. Honestly, it's just, I'm very happy Resident Evil came back now with Resident Evil 7, which I actually really enjoyed. I thought it was a great game. Resident Evil 2 remake, which was awesome, and now we have the Resident Evil 3 remake. Like, they're going right back into it, and at least with those games, say what you will about RE2 remake. I know some say it's more action, but at least it goes back to the more of that Resident Evil 4 balance of, it's got your action in there, but it's also got your suspense and everything else that made the old Resident Evil games what they were. And for that, I really enjoy it. But 6 really was just the worst of the series, in my opinion. Number 5, Duke Nukem Forever. It seems like forever ago when I got this game, and it's really because I forgot all about it. So this game managed to pick the worst possible time to come out. It came out the exact same day as Infamous 2, and I picked up both of these games because I was like, ooh, Duke Nukem Forever, I kind of want to play that game, but I got Infamous 2 at the same time. So I popped in Infamous 2, and I was like, all right, I'll play a little bit of Infamous 2, and I'll get to Duke Nukem. I played like 8 hours of Infamous 2 straight, and I was like, all right, that game's sick. Next day, I got on Duke Nukem Forever. I played 3 hours. I went back to Infamous 2, and I didn't play Duke Nukem Forever for like 2 weeks. It took a while to go back. I had to force myself to go back to it. Then when I finally went back, I went through and got through it, but it was such a chore, and I just felt everything that's in that game just went. It's kind of like Resident Evil 6. It tried to like adapt to the times, but nothing worked. It just felt like it was a waste of time, and it's like, oh, where's Duke at? Like you got the voice, you got everything, but like the writing's not there, the level design's not there. It was a weird game. Like, I expected a lot. Like, it was one of those games that was stuck in development hell for so long. Like do you realize Duke Nukem Forever like started development like in 2000? It took so long for it to come out. But when it finally did come out, I was like, man, kind of whack. Like I was expecting, I went in with high expectations too. I was like, okay, like Duke Nukem, new one, it should be cool. But Gearbox ruined it. Like I don't know like what they did, but it's just such a lackluster game. Like it's not even that like it was glitchy. It's just bland. Like I felt with Duke Nukem, you needed more. Like I didn't like how you only have 2 weapons. Like what happened to like keeping it to the old? It's like give me like 100 weapons. Let me switch between all of them. Or like it's just weird choices like that. I don't know. There's certain things about that game that kind of bothered me. It was just, man, I expected so much. That's really my thing with it. Is that I expected so much and I was just let down. And I think it's because I kind of heard a lot about Forever when it was like in PS2 era. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll take that game out when it comes out. And then when it came out, I was like, okay, I had expectations. Like it's been in development for so long. Maybe it'll be good. And it was a letdown. It feels like forever ago, but I really cannot remember a lot about Duke Nukem Forever. And hopefully a company can come and do a new Duke game that's actually good, because Gearbox really just crapped the bed with that one. Number 4, DMC, Devil May Cry. Oh, people are gonna be mad for this one, because there are people who really do enjoy this game. And if you do like this game, then cool. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with you liking this game. But for me, I couldn't like this game. And it's coming really from playing every Devil May Cry game. My first one in the series was Devil May Cry 3, and then I went from there to go back to playing number 1. I played number 2 for 15 minutes, and I played 4 like 100 times. And I saw like, okay, Devil May Cry, having a new one, and it's gonna be a prequel. I was like, oh, okay, it's not made from the original team. And then when I see like what Dante's look is, it kind of just threw me off. I was like, oh, I don't really like the look of this. And then everything else after it, like even getting past the gameplay, because that's the one thing I will give the game. The gameplay at least maybe has some stuff going on, but the story ruins everything. The story is so just random and has all these things that really don't fit with a Devil May Cry story. Like the game tries to take itself so seriously, but it's the most ridiculous story, and you have the most ridiculous characters on screen. I can't take it seriously. Like Devil May Cry games, when they get serious, they can get serious, but like their games are kind of more lighthearted in a way. And Devil May Cry DMC really try to just push a lot of crazy stuff. And there's a whole controversy with that game, and like journalists and a lot of other things where I really don't want to get into, because it's such a long just tangent that it's not even worth treading. But I never really got the appeal. Like I played the game for myself. I did at least play it. I didn't want to say, oh, this game sucks and never play it. I at least wanted to give it a fair shot. And like I said, the gameplay on it, I thought it is fine. It's not a favorite, but it'll do. It's really the story and the music too. The story and music just, I couldn't deal with it. I just felt, man, this really is a waste of like the property. And the thing that sucked is for a long time, this was the last Devil May Cry game, and thankfully Devil May Cry 5 came out, because it saved the series. And I still love that when that game got announced, they're like, Devil May Cry is back. It's been 10 years. It's like, ooh, they skipped over this game. They didn't care. Like, it really was just a weird, just kind of thing to come out like in between those Devil May Cry games, because 4 ended on such a great note, and then the next one to come out was this, and it's like, wait, what is this? Like, can I get a sequel to 4? But thankfully now it looks like DMC is in the past, and we will not have to see this version of Dante ever again. Number 3, Dead Rising 4. Oh, Frank, what did they do to you? Dead Rising is one of my most like beloved series. It was the game that got me to buy an Xbox 360. I bought a 360 just for Dead Rising, and it's probably one of my most played games out there, and I know Dead Rising 1 to a scary degree. So I had a lot of expectations with Dead Rising 4. It's like, okay, Frank West is back as a main character. We're going back to Willamette Mall. And I was hoping, it's like, maybe this is going to be the good Dead Rising game, because 3 really, well, I have not played 3 yet, so I can't speak on it, but the look of 3 and the things I've seen on it just don't really feel Dead Rising to me. It seems too gritty. to me, Dead Rising is more of the tonal shift of it, where you have zombies in the mall, which is already a weird contrast, and then you have this kind of bright, colorful aesthetic to it. So it just all kind of clashes and has this cool art style to it. And Dead Rising 3 went in the more realistic approach, which just makes it look like just boring. Like, wow, zombies in the city. When have I seen this before? Wow, the color brown is the main motif of the entire game. Where have I seen this before? But Dead Rising 4 said, hey, we're going back to the roots of the series. We're going back to what fans want and what fans want most. And it's like, all right, what fans want most, yes, here we go. And they're like, all right, so we're getting rid of the time. It's like, huh? Like, what? You're getting rid of time? That's the Dead Rising standard. It's like, you lost me there. It's like, okay, don't worry, we got you back. Oh yeah, no psychopath battles. It's like, wait, what? Yeah, we got rid of those too. Oh yeah, we're getting rid of a lot of stuff. You don't have to worry about that. It's like, no, there's all this changes going on. And there's a great video on YouTube. Somebody did a test of like Dead Rising 1 versus 4. And there's so many things in 1 that you can do that 4 just straight up doesn't let you do. And it's like, how does a game from 2005 have better physics than a game from 2016? Like, it's absurd. But even outside of the physics, that stuff that I just mentioned really bothered me. Like saying, oh, the time mechanic is gone. Like, I know a lot of people hated Dead Rising for the time mechanic, but that was one of my favorite aspects of the game, because it brought a level of strategy in how you had to plan out your cases, how you had to plan getting survivors, and it brought a cool, like, kind of tactical edge to the game. And taking it out really kind of changes the series, because now it's just like, all right, now you can just kill zombies, you have your time. It's like, you feel like you're in no rush. And just getting rid of psychopaths as well, that was another thing that made Dead Rising 1 so good. And the series as a whole is just, what level of psychopath are you going to find out there? And what are they going to be? Like, to one-up itself. Because each game one-upped itself in terms of, like, psychopaths. So then I finally played it for myself, and it's like, man, it's just so much is just ruined with it. And getting to the worst part, they decided to end the game on a cliffhanger and then say, oh, overtime mode is going to be DLC to fully flesh out the end of the game. I was like, what is this garbage? So you spend $60 on the game, then you got to spend an extra $20 to get the full ending. Dead Rising 1 overtime mode was in the game already. Like, why do I have to spend more money to get a mode that was in the original game? Like, this is what I was talking about with the Capcom stuff, but even though this is a separate side, this is Capcom Vancouver, but that stuff really drives me up the wall. Like, it's so ridiculous saying, oh, we're gonna add this feature into the game as DLC. Like, it was in the original game. Like, why do we need to buy something that was in the original game? It's so ridiculous. And I don't know what they were thinking with Dead Rising 4. It's honestly such a weird game. And I don't know. I'm honestly, at this point, and this is going to be the saddest thing, I hope there is another Dead Rising. If there is, it better be from the original Japanese team. It better be in-house Capcom. Because that is the only way I can see Dead Rising coming back and having some kind of good future. Because the second they gave Dead Rising off to another company to work on for Capcom, it was bad. Well, Dead Rising 2 was someone else, but that was good. But after that, it never was the same. Fingers crossed again. Hopefully Dead Rising can come back, because I really would love to see that series get redeemed. It honestly deserves so much better. Number 2, Mighty Number 9. Wow. I'm not very much looking forward to talking about this game. This game kind of is a sour spot for me. So this game was a Kickstarter by Keiji Inafune, who is the creator of Mega Man and a lot of the Capcom franchises that I grew up adoring. Now, I wasn't one of the ones who donated to the Kickstarter, but I was very, very excited for the game. And I actually got a chance to meet Keiji Inafune at Anime Expo one year. I got a signed poster of Mighty Number 9 that sits above my bed. But now that poster just fills me with just sadness every time I look at it. Because Mighty Number 9 came out to be a real big disappointment. It ended up just being a very bland Mega Man type clone. And even though we knew going in, it was going to be a spiritual successor to Mega Man. But I felt for what they did and came up with, it's like, man, it feels like they could have done more. Like, it feels like it's not finished. And the graphical look of the game also just, it didn't look good. I remember there was this test image they had on the Kickstarter page of like what the game could possibly look like, and it looked great. I was like, ooh, go with that. And then you see the full game, and it's like, what happened? Like, how does the Kickstarter, like, early version look better? Like, what'd you guys do? And there was all this just weird, like, just crazy stuff when even the game did come out. Like, on Kickstarter, some people got codes, some people didn't. They were very, very silent on certain parts of the game, or, like, versions. Like, oh, when's the Wii U version coming? Or when's the 3DS version? Or the Vita? And, like, some people didn't get codes, some got codes for... It was a whole mess. And then just playing the game, I was just like, man, it's just very forgettable. Like, that's probably the worst thing. Like, the gameplay, like, it wasn't bad. It was just forgettable. And it's just like, man, like, it had so much, like, good things toward it. I thought the team behind it were going to do great things. And the game comes out, and it's just such a bizarre game. Like, it's forgettable. It's bland. The level design is... just has some very odd choices behind it. The voice acting's not good. Like, it's more sad than anything, because I really wanted this game to do well, and it was kind of the death knell, because after this game, Keiji Inafune really didn't go on to do anything else. And like right now, I don't know what he's doing. Like, I remember he had another game that was coming out that was supposed to be a Mega Man Legends type game. When I was actually in attendance at Anime Expo when he revealed it. I was like, oh, cool. And then I saw what that game looked like, and really, my number 9 ruined a lot of stuff. And it's pretty crazy too. Like, especially the hype into it, because before the game came out, there's like, all right, we got a Mighty Number 9 TV show coming out. We got this for number 9. We got that. We got this. They had all these different things. It was like, I was like, can we get the game first? And then once the game came out and performed bad, all the stuff was just gone. So it's like, yeah, for Keiji Inafune, really, honestly, he should go back to Capcom. Like, I don't know, I can't remember for sure what his reasons were for, like, Capcom. I just can't remember at this point right now. If he did go back to Capcom, it probably would work out better than him going solo, because he probably needs somebody in the background telling him, maybe not do this, or maybe don't do that. Like, I don't know if that's the reason what happened with Mighty Number 9, but who really knows? The only thing I do know is I really expected better, and I was just disappointed. And that's probably the worst. Worse than just being a bad game is just having such big hype for it and being disappointed. And the number 1 worst game of the decade is Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5. Absolutely, without a doubt, this is the worst game that I played this decade. And this game got me so mad and disappointed. But unlike Mighty Number 9, where that game really was disappointing, at least that game was a new IP, and I had nothing really to look back onto it. With Pro Skater 5, I had hundreds of games I had played previously that I could compare it to, and so my disappointment was on a higher level because I knew what to expect from the series. The Neversoft Tony Hawk Pro Skater games and the later Tony Hawk games with Underground and American Wasteland, those games are fantastic. They are perfect games. And the Skater series was one that growing up for me was a childhood favorite. Pro Skater 3 and like 1 and 2, like I played a lot of those games. And they really what got me into skating, got me into like looking into skaters and all this different things. It got me into that world of skating. And so I have a very big respect for the Tony Hawk Pro Skater series. And when it came time for that E3 when this game got revealed, I was super excited because it had been a long time since a Pro Skater game had been out. And I was excited to see Tony Hawk back because once Neversoft was gone, I knew that we probably would never see another Tony Hawk game again. But now with this one back, I was like, okay, cool. We have a new one. We have a new audience that can play Tony Hawk games and kind of see what everybody was talking about this series. And then the game comes out, and it's broken. It's an absolutely broken game. And none of the love and charm that went into making those old Pro Skater games is there. The game is a cash grab just to get one final game out before the license from Activision was gone. And that's really what it is, because the Tony Hawk license for games ended for Activision, so they said, all right, we got to get one final game out to get some more money. So they just crapped this game out with no care at all, no time to put in anything, and it pissed me off to no end, because it's like, there's probably gonna be people who play Pro Skater 5 as their first game in the Pro Skater series, and they're gonna be like, this series stinks. These people don't like to go back. Some people don't, at least. And like Fallout, like, people are gonna just be thinking, when they think of Tony Hawk Pro Skater, they're gonna think of 5. So it brought this whole thing. And I remember, even especially like interviews before this game came out, the team was saying, oh, well, we know we grew up playing the Pro Skater series, we loved it, we're gonna make sure that the fans of the original one get the same feel playing it.
Some of our biggest goals are to kind of bring back and kind of a return to form to the kind of Pro Skater games of yore. You know, we wanted to kind of narrow the focus a bit and kind of get back to its roots, you know, kind of strip away some of the stuff and make it, you know, kind of try to recapture that magic and experience that we all remember, know, and love.
And I was like, what Pro Skater game did you play? Because this plays absolutely nothing like a Pro Skater game. It feels so rough and ragged, and there's so many new things they added that break a lot of the old conventions of the series. Like, doing a manual into like combos shouldn't be like so hard, but Pro Skater 5 managed to make it hard. And they added in this like ridiculous new thing to the game where you can like drop down super hard, but they had it mapped to like one button. So like, if you're like grinding or you jump and you like hold down a button, you accidentally do it. I think it was grind. So like, if you're grinding and you hold down triangle, you're gonna do that stupid drop and it'll break your combo. But it's like, if you played every Tony Hawk game, if you're next to a grind, you're gonna naturally hold down triangle or whatever like your Y button is to grind. So now you're just breaking like my knowledge and everything else that I've learned from older Tony Hawk games. And that's not even getting to the ridiculous thing. This game shipped unfinished because the disc version of this game only contains the tutorial. It does not have the entire game. So what that means is, in 40 years, when the PlayStation 4 servers go down and you can't install any updates to these games, if you didn't have a save or an updated version of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5, you have a brick. You can only play the tutorial. Like, how did you screw up that bad? How did you ship a game without the game on it? Like, it's the same thing as Fallout 76, like sending you get the game case and you just have a code inside. Like, why even get physical? Like, don't even bother. Like, why did they even release a CD version if it doesn't have the game on it? Like, you pretty much have now made it, in 40 years, you've made that game pretty much lost. Because unless you have a system that has the game installed fully, it's the only way you're going to play it. But even then, in 40 years, you really shouldn't be going to play Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5. Just go back and get a PS2 emulator. Just go play Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, 4, Underground. Like, those are amazing games. They still stand the test of time. 5 just stands to piss me off and ruin something that was such a beloved classic. It is really the biggest disappointment that I've had, because with the other games on my list, they are bad games, but this one hurt more because it's just like, I had such big expectations for Pro Skater, and going in, I just knew, okay, this is what I have to expect, and it let me down so far. Like, I can't describe how disappointing and bad this game was. I did a Halloween stream ages ago where the joke was, I played Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5. I said scary, I said frights, I said spooks, and this game fills every single point perfectly. And even that stream, I was more like aggravated than anything. It would be like a little joke stream, like, I'm playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5. You know, it's Halloween. I'm gonna play the scariest game, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5. Like, I wasn't laughing after an hour. I was getting mad. I was just like, what is this garbage? Like, what did they do to this beloved series? Like, why does this look so bad? Like, where's all the mission variety? Like, all the old Neversoft games had like cool missions. You had different things like to challenge the skating. None. is in this. Like, I could go on for another hour at just how bad Pro Skater 5 is, but I need to stop because it's hurting me to talk about this game. This is gonna be the last time I talk about it, because after this, I want to forget it. Like, a lot of games, bad games in this list, I do own. I still have. Pro Skater 5, I don't think I'll ever own. It is not worth having in my collection. Ride to Hell Retribution is in my shelf, and I'm proud to have it there. But I'm not proud to have Pro Skater 5 in my collection. Like, no, it doesn't deserve the spot. But yeah, Pro Skater 5, that was, to me, the worst of the decade. And I really hope we get another Tony Hawk game, whether it be something similar to this or something else, because like skating games deserve better, and this series deserves better. Like, that really is the saddest note, is like the final game for the Pro Skater series is this. This is the legacy that ends it off. Like, oh. So with that, my list of games of the decade is now over. Like I mentioned previously, it was a great year for games, but it was also a pretty bad year. But you need that yin and yang sometimes of the good and bad. And yeah, hopefully with this next new decade, we have some great things. Like, already the start of this decade is gonna have some amazing games come out, and I'm very happy to see what we're gonna have in store, because it's probably gonna be really good. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed both parts of this series, and I will see you in 10 years from now when I'm possibly doing this again for another one, but we'll see. So thanks for watching. As always, I'm John, Gaming with Class, and I'll see you later.